Welcome, everybody. Come on in, come on in. I'm really excited for today. Today, we are doing a live masterclass on transitioning from roommates to romance. We're going to go through a couple of the programs that I've specifically built for this problem. And I'm also going to answer any questions that you have, any specific presenting issues that you're concerned about, and really just wanting some therapeutic guidance on where to start and what to do. So, hi, welcome, come on. So, what I'm going to do is just kind of give you a brief overview about who I am and what makes me an expert on this topic. I think many of you probably already know me. And for any of you who is newly joining, welcome. I'm super excited that you're here, and I hope we can get into some really helpful conversations and really knock down kind of the to-do list for rebuilding the foundation of your relationship. So I'm Dr. Stephanie Bathurst. I'm a board-certified clinical sexologist. I'm also a licensed relationship therapist. I have additional certifications in integrative medicine for mental health. My specialties are anxiety, depression, ADD, PMDD, and bipolar disorder, as well as a certification in Pilates instruction, and that's pelvic floor reconditioning, a medical model that's evidence-based. So I kind of take all three of these different fields and niches, and so many people are like, why do you keep going back to school? Why do you have so many of these trainings, and what is your actual field of preference or your deepest passion? And as many of you may know, my deepest passion is romantic relationships. I love working with partnerships. I love seeing the profound growth that you can have in just a little bit of time with energy and effort from all partners. And from my perspective and my experience, you can't really holistically attend to the system and all of its needs by only focusing on one particular domain of the relationships, right? So this program in particular, but also just in general, if you've ever worked with me, you know that we will pop into all of the life domains because everything impacts your relationships. If your body is in pain, if your mental health is not stabilized, if there's unrepaired resentment or betrayal that's just chipping away at the trust and the respect in the relationship, all of those things, and also like sexual lack of fulfillment or incompatibility, all of those things deeply, deeply impact the bond, the secure bond that you create with your partnership. And so knowing that we're wanting to integrate all of those areas respectfully, today is going to be about answering your questions and breaking down which ones to start with first foundationally so that we are setting a solid groundwork for all of this energetic work that we're about to dive into. Okay, perfect. Any questions so far before I just keep rolling through? Hi, Amy. Yeah. Okay. I'm hearing my relationship is in a state of crisis, and so isn't that where we need to start? And my answer is no, not necessarily, because again, focusing and stabilizing all of these other areas is actually doing the work of stabilizing the system, right? We know through systems theory that relationships can only be as healthy and as fulfilling as its individual counterparts. So if one or more of the partners within one single system is unhealthy or unstable in any kind of capacity, physical health, sexual health, mental health, emotional health, all of these different areas, right? If there's an instability in one of them for one partner, it directly feeds into the effects of the relationship. And so we'll dive into it a little bit more in just a few moments. But my answer is no. We want to start with the health and the stabilization of each individual first. And once we know that you are healthy and happy and connected within your own body and your own psyche, we jump to the next level, which is awareness enhancement and pattern identification within the romantic system, right? Within the dyadic structure, or if you're a multi-person relationship, the triadic or polycule structure. we focus on that particular nuclear dynamic first, right? What is going on that's creating dysfunction or dysregulation in the interaction patterns there, and what can we do to meet the needs or the function of that behavior, but in a healthier way that's more productive for the relationship, right? So it goes individual stability, relational stability, and then the final stage is systemic stability. So focusing on the whole system, if that means the integration of work and hobbies and social life, and how you find balance with that in conjunction with the relationship energy, or if that means quite literally the extended family system, however that may be for you. And what we need to do to bring healthier boundaries there and kind of contract within ourselves and our partnership. What's healthy, what's not, what do we need to assert with other people in an appropriate way to make sure that we're not receiving energetic drain because somebody else outside of the within the bigger system is unhealthy. We can't fix other people. We can only focus on the controllable variables within our own self and our own romantic system. So we kind of we learn how to be the healthiest versions of ourselves and model that for the bigger system. And that's how we promote systemic change. So the program that I built, and I love because it works, everybody who's been through it has profoundly changed. Not just the relationship that they came in to change, but also the mindset and perspective of themselves within the construct of this massive world that we live in, right? So this program was built purposefully in two different stages, right? So this is kind of stage one or level one, where there are 4 learning modules, about 44 lessons, therapeutic lessons that you can watch on your own. And they're divided into those stages, right? Individual health and stability, increased awareness and mindset shift, relationship change, and like communication or dialoguing skills, emotional attunement, refinement, all of those like practical skills we'll work on. And then the 4th module, the final module of level 1, which is this course program, is systemic change. We get into deep relational contracting and we plan out the rituals and traditions that are bonding and cohesive for your dynamic and things like that, right? To really stabilize long term. So that's level 1. Level 2, once you complete level 1, the course, is the in-person couples retreats. And we're considering offering them virtually in the near future. I'll keep you up to date with if we decide that. I really like the one-to-one in person. I think that's deeply impactful, and I love working with relationships. So the retreats that we offer in Hawaii and Florida as of right now, throughout the year, we offer VIP private retreats and semi-private retreats, maximum 7 couples. And these are heavily focused on 3 particular areas of intimacy of the 8, and I'll teach you a little bit about what those 8 forms of intimacy actually are. The 3 forms that the retreats are focused on are physical intimacy, sexual intimacy, and experiential intimacy, doing things together, right, that are conjoint and fulfilling, maybe a little novel. And so it's meant to be a stage progression where we get everything healthy and a positive buildup or reservoir of positive energy within your romantic dynamic. And then when you're ready, when you feel good in this position that we've gotten you in, we bring you into the retreat, and really it's focused on intimacy amplification, right? Like, how do we activate arousal, and how do we experience genuine physical play with one another again? Because that's super critical to the maintenance of the system. So a little bit later, we'll focus on the retreats if you're interested. If you want to know more, awesome. Today is really about the Flow Formula 90-day program, which is the Roommates to Romance program. Now, forewarning, this program is it's considered an intensive, right? So I don't know if some of you might have gone to like seminars or workshops in the past, and it's a little bit like that. In that you have long chunks of energetic allocation or like time that you invest into each of these modules. And the more you invest in a short period of time, the quicker the process is going to work for you. So I've had some couples who come in and they are like full force, super ambitious, ready to change. They're tired of the status quo. It's not serving them well. And so this is their life. They eat, sleep, breathe, and embrace this 90-day program, and they actually complete it before the 90-day mark, which is just amazing, right? Like that just blows my mind and so exciting for them. And then I have other couples who have a lot going on and they have 4 kids and they both work full time, and you just don't have schedules that align to complete all of these exercises. And so it takes longer, and maybe they extend and stay in for another 2 months beyond the 90 days. Totally fine as well. This is meant and built for you, right? So yes, we have short clip or bite-sized lessons that I have pre-recorded, because these are lessons that from my 15 years in the clinical field are necessary lessons that I repeat with all of my clients, right? So if we can save time and you money having one like traditional therapy session for each one of these lessons that I've been able to chunk into a 10 to 15 minute overview, if we can save you money and save both of us time, so that our one-to-one intensives that you have throughout this process, which is 4 total, one at the completion of each of your modules. So there's like a project that you submit at the end of each of these learning modules, which is about every 2 to 3 weeks. And then you have a one-to-one live coaching call where it's just me and you and your partner, and we deep dive into whatever needs to be personalized. So we save time by getting all of the necessary education and perspective shifts kind of like rolling beforehand, and then by the time we get to our one-to-one intensive, all the groundwork has been done, and we really just focus on these like blockages, or if you're wanting to integrate EMDR for resentment release, things like that that I can't offer in a pre-recorded structure. That is the purpose of the one-to-one intensives. So you're not alone. You're not like isolated in this process. You have full access to the therapeutic community, which you can remain anonymous if you want. You have full text support to me directly. It goes to my professional line. All the time. If you ever have questions or something's not working, or you have like a momentary regression to old habits, that's the time when you can contact me. You don't need to wait 3 weeks between intensives to do that. So my point is, this was built to be deeply personalized to you and your relationship and your priorities, right? Which I think is really cool. So yeah. Full program is 90 days. We offer a couple of different options depending on payment needs or style. Maybe you're not interested in the live coaching because you have your own individual therapist and you're working with other providers, which is totally cool too. I find that most people are wanting to just work with one provider who knows the entire system, and it can cut out some of like the mediation that can be confusing for them. But if that's not your style and you have your people that you love and they're good for you, amazing, I want to support that, then the basics course is going to be for you, because it'll just give you access to all of the pre-recorded lessons, activities, articles, all of the stuff, right, that has been pre-completed. You'll have access to whenever, wherever you want within that 90 days. It just doesn't include the full tech support, the community access, or the live one-to-one coaching with me. At any time, you're welcome to like go onto my private practice site and schedule a one-to-one with me, and that's totally fine as well. So there's always options for us to kind of cherry pick what works for you. Okay, I am going to I want to make sure that you have access to the Masterclass PDF, which gives you a couple of activities, like learning activities that can help you with the introspection and the reflection of like, what is the core issue? What is going on? How did we get to this place of disliking each other, or maybe even worse, not caring about if we like each other. Like, apathy is the antagonist of love. We don't want to get to that place of complete lack of energy, because that's a little more difficult to come back from than anger or disappointment. These intense emotions that we feel are actually symbolic of the attachment that we still have in the relationship. So when I have a couple comes in, I do not see them being angry and pissed off and yelling at each other as the worst case scenario. There's energy there. We are going to learn how to use and reform and mold that energy into depth and connection. So I say that to you to help inspire a lot of hope, because there is a lot of hopefulness here. There's where, as long as all partners involved want to make this work, we can fix this. These communication blockages, these unhealed resentments, all of those have workable solutions, which I'll guide you on. They're super simple. It's really just getting back to the basics of being human and relationships and how they work. And once you have that foundational information, everything just kind of clicks and falls into place. So I'm excited to guide you into that. Okay, any other questions so far? I'm seeing a lot of like, yay, celebration, which is lovely to hear. I'm excited. This is my passion and joy in life. Hi, Shayna. Hi. Yeah. Okay. So, how do I get my partner on board? Which is probably a question that a couple of you have. We want to make sure that there is no indifference first. So if one or all of you are on the fence and it's like a 1 foot in, 1 foot out kind of experience, that's more opportunistic for like a discernment counseling session. And the discernment model is a evidence-based, pre-structured therapy process that helps every partner make a decision. If you want to be in this and you're ready to put the work in to make it work, amazing. We need all parties to want this to work. It's okay if you feel mistrusting or a little bit doubtful, or you're feeling super heavy and you're not sure where you're going to get this energy to reinvest or reallocate back to the relationship. We'll figure all that out together. As long as every partner is like, yes, I do want to make this work. This is valuable to me. This is important to me, and I'm in it. Then perfect. The way that we get your partner on board, if there's a lot of doubt or worst case, which I see very frequently, is that we have like a long history of seeing therapists in the past, like couples therapists, and they just haven't been impactful or positively effective for the relationship. And the devolution that you've been experiencing over these last couple of years continued despite seeing a therapist. And that's really unfortunate, because that's not our purpose, right? Our purpose is to be your guide, your healer, your support system, to provide you the insight and the perspective that you need to create change, right? And so I think it's really important that every single partner, when they're buying into the change process, is super accepting that this requires you to do your own work, right? There is no resolving or fixing a relationship that completely excludes you looking within yourself and figuring out your own growth areas. That's kind of the beautiful thing about romantic relationships anyways, right? It's finding a partner that you connect with, who you feel deeply, deeply seen, heard, valued, who encourages and supports your personal growth, right? Supports your individual life dreams, can like interweave future shared visions together, which is deeply powerful. So I would tap into the future orientation with them. What is it that they want out of life? What is it that they want to experience out of a relationship? And how do they expect to get there? Because I think sometimes we get like tunnel visioned into the demands for us, and we feel this like natural resistance to change, which is just human nature, right? Like anything that's unfamiliar feels deeply uncomfortable, and the discomfort within our bodies makes me push away the change. Even if it's a really good thing that is aligned with our goals. And I think that's the type of conversation that we want to have. If you're struggling to have that conversation because you're still working to figure out what you want, how you feel, how to articulate these things within the partnership, or if it's at such a critical point that there isn't safety to be emotionally vulnerable, that would be the opportune time to contact me for a one-time session so that I can communicate all of this to everybody on board, and start together. I hope I answered your question. All right, so what I'm going to do is go through, I think I talked about myself enough. We're going to go through like the perfect fit person for, or partner for this program, because I want to make sure that you're in the right place. That's super, super important to me, that you get the right fit support that you deserve. This is perfect for people who are feeling like life is a bit of a crap storm, right? And it has been for a little while. You have a ton of responsibilities where you are having to take care of so many other people or things in life, and you're consistently left with nothing. You feel like you are constantly self-sacrificing the things that are important or valuable to you, or your own self-care, self-needs, to accommodate the demands and the overfunction of your outside system. And by that point, especially for women, where like the second and third shift is still very, very real. When we burn out, our relationships burn out too, right? When we hit this point of like, I'm just done. I'm done taking care of everyone and everything and not receiving anything back in return. And if this is going to work out, there has to be some dramatic changes in the very near future. If that's you, this was made for you. I built this for you, and I've been there, right? I think we've all experienced those moments, some longer durations than others. And what I think it's really valuable to bring in all of these different methods and approaches kind of eclectically, because there is so much, right? We need to talk about equality and fairness. We need to talk about expectations and boundaries and assertions of needs, wants, and limitations with our partnership. We need to talk about sexual fulfillment for all partners and what that actually looks like. And if you don't feel like you're compatible in your sexual styles or needs or frequencies, or there's a libido blockage for whatever reason, we deep dive into that. If we feel like we have ignored our own needs for years at this point, whether that's emotional or physical, because I know a lot of us have gone through childbirth and experienced a lot of like physical trauma, not just psychological trauma from all of the options that present in just a normal person's lifetime, but physical trauma that we just didn't receive the best medical support or guidance for, because our medical system is flawed as well. So focusing on holistic mental health, focusing on pelvic floor recovery and libido enhancement and arousal, focusing on general health supplementation to make sure that you're getting the nutrients that you need to have a healthy mindset and be able to think clearly without brain fog, without negative distortions that are skewing how you experience and live life, and jumping into like the frameworks of what makes a relationship last: communication, headspace, formal reparative processes, emotion-focused dialoguing, and conflict resolution scripts, attachment security if we feel like we have anything other than a secure attachment, right? Avoidant, anxious, disorganized, how to heal those so that our baggage from the past is not actively replaying in the current relationship, and intimacy fulfillment, right? In all 8 forms of intimacy, this program is interwoven for all of them. That is the purpose, right? So the 8 forms that I've conceptualized, this is my clinical theory from all of my years within romantic relationships. The 8 are physical, psychological, sexual, social, experiential, emotional, intellectual, and creative. So of those 8, we're wanting you to individually go through and kind of prioritize what is your most important right now in life, from top to bottom. What is your priority, and which of those do you feel like you are starved the most? Because we know that any need that goes unmet for a long period of time automatically gets prioritized to the very top of our scale. And that once it's at the top priority and it continues to be unmet, we start to feel this like urgency, this desperation. And for some people, that can transition into depression, right? Or anxiety. And for some people, that can create this like impulse response where we're not thinking clearly, we're making really poor decisions that are not aligned with our ideal future or personal goals, and we get ourselves into trouble, right? So both are kind of precipitated from the same thing, which is lack of fulfillment or starvation of specific needs. So once you have that list of top to bottom, your most and least priority intimacy forms, we want to then compare that with your partners and see where the difference and comparisons are, because that's going to be the opportunity for foundation building. Does that make sense? Yay! Awesome. Okay. I know I'm going through a lot, but to be honest, I love teaching, and I want everybody to have access to this information so that you ideally don't need me anymore, right? Like that's the whole purpose of my job as a provider, is that we build you up with all of these skills and the knowledge and the ability to be your own independent and self-sufficient partnership, because that's true independence and autonomy right there. We want to celebrate that. The day that that happens, where you're like, look, Stephanie, I love you. You're fantastic. You help my relationship so much. And also, it's time to say bye. I want to go live life and enjoy it to its fullest. And I think we don't need to keep meeting anymore unless there's, a check-in every couple months or years, which I do have clients from 15 years ago contact me every 2 years to just be like, hey, here's what's going on. So that's the goal, right? For us to build you up and for you to become your own intimacy expert and your own mental health expert within your bodies, because that's true empowerment right there. All right, so what is the flow formula for romantic connection? Essentially, so flow is an acronym, right? It's an acronym that I created that focuses on the foundational stages of reinforcing attachment and stability and trust in a relationship. So the F is for find yourself. We talked about like health stabilization of each individual first. So find yourself is module 1. Module 2 is learn patterns. And that's the awareness enhancement, because in the change process, the first stage of change is awareness. Without the awareness, we can't disrupt old patterns or feedback loops and put in new ones, because we don't have the ability to figure out when they're happening in real time, right? So learn patterns is module 2. Observe and apply change is module 3. And that's really like integrating our awareness and creating the change processes in the here and now. That's the disrupting of old feedback loops as they're happening and rehabituating new ones. And we know through science, there's some variability. So anywhere from 45 days to 90 days is the time frame that you need for consistent behavioral change to create a new habit, right? So in this 90-day program, we have the time and the ability to completely overhaul all of the dynamics, the interaction patterns, the communication exchanges, all of that yuckiness that is not serving you and it's not fulfilling you or your partner. We have the time and the means to just shatter the old and build the new, right? In a way that's sustainable, and that's amazing. And then the fourth module, the last module of this program, is W, which is work together for lifestyle shifts. So this is the systemic change. We go beyond just that dyadic, triadic, polycule structure into the extended system and figure out what it is that what variables do we have impact or control over that can protect this connection bubble that we have finally made and created for you. So systemic change is an important part of the process. And I think the first and the latter, right, the finding yourself and the working together for systemic change, those are the stages that I routinely see missed in entirety within traditional therapy structures, right? Within couples therapy or couples counseling, couples coaching. I have so many clients who come into my office and they're like, why did nobody ever tell me about this thing, right? Like, why did I not work on my mistrust of self? Because that is the integral piece that's missing from my ability to trust others, right? And so maybe they've spent 5 years in relationship therapy and nobody talked to them about the foundation of trust, love, commitment, loyalty, all of these things starting within yourself. And if you don't have it within yourself, you will never be able to receive or believe it with somebody else offering it to you, right? So find yourself and working together systemically to create change. Those are so, so important for the foundation of these change processes to be stable long-term, meaning you're in this program for 90 days, and when you leave this program, the continuation of all of these change processes that we've now spent so much effort and energy creating are not just gonna fall away, right? That they're continuing on because you've shifted everything. Your entire life now supports this new contract, this new process. And the old environment, the old dynamics, although they feel familiar still, are not workable because the entire structure of your system has also changed. So that's the purpose. That's why I built upon these 4 modules and in this specific order. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so I'm just going to break down really, really quickly each of those steps so that you can consider like doing some of these things on your own if you'd like to try some of them on your own, or if you want to further consider if this program is the right fit for you. This is why I'm having this kind of like masterclass, right? This live overview. So find yourself, which is module 1. The goals that we have for this process are to learn the fundamentals of energy theory as it applies to relationships, right? We all have biofields around our body, and it's super important that we understand how our own energy shifts. And this is science. This isn't like woo-woo spirituality. This is backed in science. The biofields around us are impacted by our moods, our emotions, our belief systems, and how that relates to the mood of our relationship. So understanding the fundamentals of energy theory, enhancing self-awareness, what roles have you played or are playing that impact the poor communication, the intimacy disconnection, that whatever the problems are, what role do you have in these problems being present in the relationship? We're wanting to activate all the forms of intimacy to strengthen the relationship and really understand your energetic type, your flow type within the relationship. So I created a quiz, a personality quiz that's actually pretty complex, and it will. You take the quiz, it matches you with one of the 6 types for how you give and receive energy within relationships. And this is super, super important because balance, fairness, equality is absolutely necessary for sustainable relationships, right? When we look at relationships that dissolve, devolve, just cut off, it's because usually one person is over-functioning with energy and the other person is either under-functioning or not giving anything back, right? That's a failing system. if there is not reciprocal energy exchange constantly flowing between the parties, the system will dissolve. That's guaranteed. And so we want to know what flow type you have and how that relates to your partner's flow type so that we have a completely clear and concrete understanding of where the energy lines are, where is it going, and how is it coming back, and if it's not, where else within the system is that energy being allocated, because we have to pull it back from those domains and give back to the relationship, because that's what sustainability is. Yeah, so we'll learn about the 8 forms of intimacy, excuse me, the relationship energy type quiz, the attachment meditation for healing any of the insecure attachment styles, energy theory within self and relationships, energetic blockages, things that block and flow energy between the two of you, and we'll confirm any variables that you feel like are actively heavying your dynamic. So figuring out like, okay, what is feeding this dysfunction or dysregulation, and is it something that I have control over? Is this something that we can focus on in the next module to create global change, right? Improve fulfillment for all parties. Again, our relationships are only as healthy as its individual counterparts. Okay, step 2, learn patterns. So here we're going to have a pretty heavy integration of mindfulness practices. And again, everything that I do and use and teach is evidence-based. I provide a lot of like article links, DOI links with each of my 44 lessons, because I want you to have complete confidence and clarity that what I'm teaching and what you're applying are actually going to be efficacious. So even if we're talking about mindfulness practice, the type of practice that I'm teaching or encouraging you to use is evidence-based to be of higher impact or efficacy than placebo. And we know that placebo is about 15% higher in impact than doing nothing. So that's pretty significant promises, right? So in step 2, learning patterns, we're going to do mindfulness practices to help your brain get out of like past-oriented or trauma-based stuckness, which is creating and feeding nervous system dysregulation, which impacts our biofield, our energetic lines. We will kind of take a crash course on relationship success and relationship dissolution variable. So like the 20 years, the 2 decades of statistically significant research on what makes romantic relationships work and for long term versus the statistically significant variables that destroy them and encourage divorce. So I give you all of that information in really clear, like truncated ways so that you're not super overwhelmed, because it can be overwhelming, right? To go over 20 decades of research, very overwhelming, and not everybody wants to read medical journals. Not super fun for everyone. So it's a lot of like learning what we are going to be changing and why we're changing it. And this education is what encourages completely like shifting perspectives or mindsets about you, your world, your relationships, and how you want to live within them. So holistic mental health guidance, if you're struggling with any like PMDD, anxiety, ADD, depression, and you're needing some additional support with that, I provide a lot of guidance for that, for holistic treatment. The research on successful relationships versus destructive relationships, accountability, the importance of accountability versus validation, which is a critical part to disempower power dynamics in the relationship. Mantras, visualizations, guided imageries to help you embrace and expect the most desired outcome. We know through anticipatory anxiety that if you're sitting there being like, oh my gosh, this relationship is definitely going to fail. It's going to fail. I don't even know why I'm here. I don't even know why I'm putting energy into it. Why am I here? The probability of your relationship failing, if all you're thinking about is the relationship failing, dramatically increases your least desired outcome. And so I include the mantra, visualization, guided imagery practices to combat anxiety, anticipatory anxiety, because we don't want for you to manifest the worst case scenario because of how heavy or dark your mind has been. And then we'll wrap up step 2 with a relationship timeline that I created to help you compartmentalize these like chapters or episodes in your relationship without our brain recognizing that there's a difference then from now. We won't allow ourselves to kind of release the past and the pain of the past and step into a more vulnerable and more fulfilling future. There has to be a separateness there. So relationship timeline. In the freebie PDF that you definitely want access to because it's amazing, 18 pages of just like amazingness. There's a breakdown of like flow of intimacy types and blocks of intimacy types that go along with step 2. So fill that out and it'll start the ball rolling with some of the work that we're going to do. Step 3, which is observe and apply. This is the relationship change module. So highly engaging and interactive with each other within the partnership. Very specific activities that require daily practice. And then there's, I think, like daily rituals, traditions for self-care and positivity to improve overall mood, enhance systemic awareness. We're going to do a lot of like energy auditing, intimacy auditing to evaluate who, what, or like where all of your resources, your internal resources are going. And if you're not happy with the allocation of them, we want to mindfully recreate the percentages of which domains or what people in our system are receiving the most from us. These are finite resources. Energy, time, attention, money even. These are finite resources, and you want to be purposeful with who or what is gaining the majority of them. If it's not each other and that's causing the disconnect in the relationship, we need to map out where you're going to pull that extra energy and attention from, and you have to find acceptance that there might be like a transition or a shift. Maybe your hobbies take a little bit less, but if your relationship is more fulfilling and deeply connective and you feel alive again, it's not going to be a negative. It's not going to be a loss. It's just going to be a change. So observe and apply, step 3, how to build positive energy within the relationship and have that energy reserve to come back to. Gratitude rituals, very important, statistically significant to improve relationship success and overall positive bias about your partner. We need gratitude and appreciation to be palpable. Creating synergy in your energetic flow to have fairness and equality be experienced by all partners. We're going to work on communication skills, super important, both nonverbal and verbal, because we know nonverbal comprises 80% of our interpersonal dynamics or dialogues. So we'll work on both. And then creating a personalized formal repair process. So whenever in your future, even if it's 10 years from now, there's like a tiff or a moment when you're both in really bad moods and you're just like kind of snotty to each other, that you know exactly what to do as immediately as possible to squash that tension. That tension from that singular moment should never carry over into the remainder of your relationship. If that's happening, if a moment from now is carrying over into tomorrow, that's what compounds resentment, right? There needs to be an effective repair process that just washes away all of that tension and hostility so it doesn't build on each other over time. And then we'll end step 3 with a baggage release ritual to help you make that decision to let go. Yeah, okay. And then step 4, which is work together. This is going to be an intentional focus on like long-term success, right? We are looking at the larger system and what needs to what lifestyle changes we need to put into practice, or mindset shifts we need to embrace and practice every single day to maintain these behavioral amendments and this intimacy like resurgence. It's easy, it's human nature, it's easy to regress and relapse back to old ways. We want to purposefully counteract that tendency by creating all of these other processes and structures that encourage the new norm, right? This paradigm shift that we are building with each other. So we'll practice synergy building activities and complete a formal relationship contract. It's in depth. It's about 15 pages, but I gave you all the questions. I broke it down into all the categories. And so really all you have to do is sit there with one another and answer to the best of your ability based on what's going to feed your soul. And we create compatibility there. The fourth intensive, the last intensive with me, is always focused on this contract, and you come do the contract on your own, right, with my guidance. But when we come to the final intensive, that is purposed for me mediating any kind of like stuck areas. If there's no overlap in this one particular thing of the contract and you don't know what the options are to compromise, that's my job, right? I do that work. That's my purpose. So know that if you get stuck on something or some things, that's why I'm here to provide the live coaching and deeply personalize this process to your needs. You're not alone in completing it. It's not just like here's the templates, fill it out, you're on your own, figure it out. I'm here along that road with you. So in the final step, module 4 of this flow formula roommates to romance program, there's the 16-page relationship contract, the planning, rituals and traditions for bonding, feedback loop reframing, creating like a flow state together, this synergistic flow state where everything feels easier and fluid and responsive to one another, rather than this like awkward, I move a little bit, my partner doesn't know what to do, they withdraw or they come back, and then you know what I mean? So we want to create flow, as well as structure out some of the relationship check-ins and the check-in questions so that they're measurable and they're the same ones that are being asked at every check-in, which will allow us to evaluate the health and the stability of the relationship. If we have the same questions that are measurable, that we're asking every single quarter, and the first 3 quarters we answered relatively the same, and then that 4th quarter we're like, oh no, these are drastically different. What happened, right? It gives us opportunity and cue to prioritize the relationship stability so that we don't end up wasting 4 years hoping that it's just going to go back to the way that it was, but it doesn't, right? This allows us to catch these moments or these regressions as quickly as possible. And within all 4 of the frameworks, every one of my lessons includes a bonus at the bottom, a bonus activity, resource, and guidance on sexual intimacy. This is super critical for me because, okay, so I got my PhD in clinical sexology because I love relationships, and being a relationship specialist and therapist for many, many years, I did not see how the exclusion of sexual and physical intimacy in the therapeutic process was helpful. And unfortunately, I feel like for a lot of providers, which is okay, I mean, you do you, right? For a lot of providers, their own discomfort with sexuality prevents them from being able to mediate or healthily model these necessary conversations. Sex is a critical part of who we are as individuals. And so it really does deserve and require attention. Oh, right. We talked about energy allocation. Let me just go through all the inclusions for this 90-day coaching program, and then I'll kind of open it to questions or anything like that. All right, so the all-in-one Sorry for the beeping outside of my window. Also, you probably hear some roosters because I'm in Hawaii and the birds here are wild. So apologies for that if you're receiving background noise. My all-in-one 90-day coaching includes a 4 hour long one-to-one coaching session with me directly. So it's just me and you and your partner or partners. So there's 4 of them throughout the process, and you have full text support. You can email or text me and my administrative assistant for any tech issues right away, but also for relationship issues. If you're like, oh, something happened and I don't want to do the wrong thing, or I want to do this recommended change, but I forgot to ask about this specific thing, you're welcome to contact me. I want that open line, streamlined communication, because that's what's going to get you results fast, which is the whole purpose of this immersive process, right? I usually ask and prepare partners to give about 7 to 8 hours each week if you're wanting it to get done within the 90-day framework that I built it for. If you're okay extending a little bit, then by all means, take your time. I'm not going anywhere. This is my life passion, and this will be my career indefinitely. So you're always welcome to contact me and we can work together. But yeah, text me and email me. Absolutely. There's about 44 bite-sized educational lessons that can be watched wherever, whenever you can. Safely, right? Please don't watch them when you're driving in the car, right? Because then you're distracted and you can't write notes and stuff like that. But if you're at work and things are slow, or if you're at a baseball game and you want to put your headphones in and kind of watch it for 5 to 10 minutes, however long the video is, awesome. It's meant to be adaptive to you. We have pre-planned date nights, like date night kits that we mail to your house, as well as a welcome kit and a couple other prizes that we keep as a surprise. If you are like interactive in the community and stuff like that, but it's a lot of fun, right? Like I think there are so many different styles of learning and information processing, right? There's 8 different types of learning. And depending on your personality and the way that your brain works, if it's a linear or a systemic thinker, some of you might be really like responsive to interactive exercises, or maybe audio files do it, help you with information processing, or writing things down in a notebook helps you. Like this program offers you all of the different frameworks for information processing so that whatever way works for you, you're able to receive. I don't want this to be built for one specific type of person. This is purpose to help all people, and many partners are complementary partners, right? We tend to be gravitated or pulled toward people that mirror our growth areas. And so we have different styles with our partner most of the time. So just know that there's videos, there's written assignments, there's articles to read if you want. There's interactive community stuff. There's a whole bunch of different ways to learn and retain this information to accommodate your style. We also we provide multiple logins. So if you have 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, whatever in your relationship, we provide a login for each person, not for each party, if that makes sense. So you and your partner can come in, and if you have very different schedules, say one of you is on shift work and the other person is on a typical 9 to 5, and you just don't see each other on a regular basis to be able to complete these like modules together, it's okay. You don't need to. You each are going to have your own login that will start and stop where you left off. You can make notes in there. It's going to be personalized to you. And then we also have the therapeutic community that you can ask questions to or celebrate wins with, just general support. And I can respond on there as well if it's not something that you want to talk about privately, but kind of open it up to the floor. I encourage you to do so. That's why we have it. Again, that can remain anonymous if privacy is super, super important to you. I do not disclose your identity to anybody else. And so if you don't mind about it, by all means, use your name, put up a picture of yourself if you want to like connect with other people in that like authentic way. And if you absolutely don't want to use the community, you don't have to, okay? Privacy is my top tier priority for you. Like as a clinician with HIPAA regulations, that's my ultimate purpose, right? So just know that your privacy is protected. If you come into this program, it's not going to be disclosed. Your confidentiality is not going to be leaked to anybody, whatever the issues are that you're wanting to work on. Okay, so we have you covered if you want your partner, meaning you want desire back, but you don't have it right now. So that like want to from just a general emotional perspective, I want to connect with my partner. I want to experience time with them rather than want to avoid them, or I want to desire my partner sexually and it's just not there. So this is the perfect program for you. If your trust is gone because of past betrayal or resentment that has compounded over time, and you and your partner don't know how to effectively release and repair that, this will teach you that. If your body feels disconnected from yourself, if you feel like you don't have control over your body movements, you're not able to like access that flow or that connection of communication within your body and mind, or if you feel like you have pelvic floor dysfunction that's causing low libido, lack of sensation, sleep deprivation because you're getting up to pee multiple times per night, pain during sex, like all of those things, right? If you feel like your mood is all over the place and but you're stable, meaning you're safe, we support that, right? We support holistic alleviation of anxiety, depression, all of these other mood disorders, as long as suicidal and death ideation are not present, right? We want to prioritize your safety absolutely first. And so if any of those things are present, or you're uncertain if this fits for you, if this is the right level of care, contact me directly. Send me a DM, an email, a call, and I'll have a free consultation and we'll figure that out together, okay? Emotional intimacy is at an all-time low. That's one of the 8 forms that I prioritize, both actually in this this program and the advanced level 2 retreats. Emotional intimacy is interwoven in everything. So we'll focus on like emotional regulation techniques for healthy boundaries, attunement skills, all of that. Having effective dialogues, right? Emotion-focused dialogues, and then how to start talking again. So the different types of communication and how you want to express intention, and appropriate structure, like which type of dialogue is meeting my need for this conversation right now. Because a lot of times miscommunication is one partner coming up and looking for emotion-focused responses to feel seen, heard, and validated, and the other partner misperceiving the intention of the dialogue to be conflict resolution. And so rather than providing all of these active listening responses, the receiving partner provides options for like resolving or changing something, and it just, you both leave feeling frustrated. That's super, super resolvable. And then if you feel like this isn't the lifestyle or the life that you signed up for, if you're like, how the hell did we get here? How did I create and build this life that I never wanted for myself? And now that I'm here, what is it that I do with it, right? Rather than just like dropping everything that I've created and running away, which is not a great alternative. What do we do now? This whole program gives you pause to reflect on what it is that you need out of life and out of your relationship to feel fulfilled. We can't experience joy and passion and euphoria 100% of the time, but we absolutely can experience contentment with blips of happiness and joy throughout. That is the baseline, that's the emotional baseline that we are aiming for and that you deserve, and we want to get you there. So all of those problems that I just listed out are specifically built into this program for you. Okay, if it's okay with you, I want to take just like a brief few minutes to talk about our Passionate Partners retreats, which is the advanced level or the level 2 of this program. It's purposed for couples who are looking to like amplify their intimacy, specifically physical and sexual intimacy. But it includes like mental health, a deep dive into holistic health for each of the individual. It includes meditative movement forms and sound baths. It includes like non-sexual physical somatic releases or massages to help your partner feel calm and relaxed and good. So there's a lot of non-sexual stuff that's interwoven into this Passionate Partners retreat. It's about 7 therapeutic workshops that are directly with me, and 5, meaning 1 for each of the evenings, 5 pre-planned excursions, like adventures that are purposed to help encourage cohesion and bonding. So these are like life experiences that are memorable and palpable with the energetic shift that you experience in the retreat. It's really fun. It's so much fun. It's a lot of work because we do 2 workshops a day during the week. You're here for 7 days. It's all inclusive. And then Monday through Friday, we do 2 workshops in the mornings, which are usually about 2 hours each. So 4 hours of one-to-one immersive care. And that's education, that's interactive activities, it's us laughing and playing and just like connecting, genuinely connecting. And then you have a break for lunch. We have a private chef here. We're on about an acre, tons of like fruit trees everywhere. We're on a farm that's ocean view. It's really beautiful and private. We have a private chef that prioritizes 3 healthy meals that are farm to fork, meaning we go out and we pick the mangoes and the avocados from our tree that's like 15 feet away, and use them in your food. So it's kind of amazing. And then we have the excursions in the evening, and you have a whole bunch of gifts every day that you take home, resources. It's transformative. So if you're interested, we have one-to-one private retreats anytime throughout the year. Just let us know. We tend to be booked out a couple months in advance, so just give us a heads up. And that is $14,000 right now. And then the semi-private retreats, which we have in Hawaii and Florida. Our next one is coming up in Stuart, Florida, but it hops around at different beach towns sometimes. The semi-private retreats are a maximum of 7 couples. So you always have your private bedroom, and we do our very best to make sure that you have a private bathroom as well. So we look for these like on the beach mansions that have like 9 bedroom and bathrooms so that everybody has their own space. If you want to just kind of seclude and be in your own little bubble, you're able to do that. If you want to socialize and make friends and learn from other people, you can do that as well. So it really is like a super amazing week, both the private ones, the VIP private and the semi-private. Yeah, I mean, so that's our programs right now. We do have smaller size mini courses. We have a pelvic floor recovery program, which is 28 days. You can extend it if you'd like, but you have full access. And that is a medical model. So it was created by an OBGYN surgeon as well as a pelvic floor physical therapist. It's a medical model that if used within the first 28 days, 80% of clients who have used it experienced significant alleviation of their pelvic floor dysfunction. So this program is for any weakened or unstable pelvic floor issues that cause, so like mild to moderate prolapses, organ prolapses in the reproductive area, any kind of bladder incontinence, or just having to like get up every 2 hours to go to the bathroom, even though you haven't drank anything past 7 o'clock that night. That will help with that. Any kind of like decreased sensitivity, meaning you're not feeling a whole lot down there, or your orgasms have become really like bleh. This is purpose to resolve that, and generally help heal chronic back pain, because it's a full pelvic floor stabilization program, meaning your lower back, your abdominals, your inner thighs, your hips, all of that is going to be restabilized with just 10 exercises that you can do at home, 5 to 10 minutes a day without any equipment, no insurance authorization needed, super inexpensive. So check out that if you feel like that applies to you. It's an amazing course. And then we also offer, I think I talked about this a little bit in the beginning, but for the Flow Formula 90-day program that we're talking about today, the full program with the live coaching and all the date kits and everything like that is $2,500 for the 90-day access, and inclusive of all that stuff. We do offer payment plans if you want to pay over the span of 3 months. If you're not looking for the live coaching or any of the like date kits, if you feel like you have that covered, or financially you just can't swing it right now, but you really, really need this course, that's why we created the basics. It's the exact same course. Everything from a lessons perspective, all the activities, all the lessons, all the articles and the links, the sexual intimacy bonus at the bottom of each lesson, all of that is the same. You just don't have access to the community support, to the live text support from me. You're always welcome to email if there's like tech issues or you have questions or something. But it also doesn't include the live coaching with me that personalizes the program. So think about it. That is $897 total. And you again have access for the full 90 days. You can always extend if you want to like do a continuation monthly membership. Afterwards, we give you that option. But it's $897 for the basics course. We also offer a 3-month payment plan if you want to space it out rather than purchasing it in one go. We are a medical provider, so we do accept HSA cards if that helps alleviate cost. And you are able to write this off at the end of the year as a medical expense for tax purposes. So keep those things in mind. This, from my perspective, is worth, like I've been told from business advisors and coaches that my full program is worth $5,000. And I believe that, genuinely. Like I wholly believe that that is what it's worth. I've put so much intention and work into this program. I also want it to be accessible to as many people as possible while respecting the work and the energy that I put in. And so I'm going to keep it at $2,500 for as long as I possibly can, because I want you to have access to this and to gain as much from it as you possibly can. We are healing all of the work and the education that wasn't offered to us in like normative society or education process, right? It's a shame that we don't teach emotional and relational intelligence early on. I really hope that that changes in the future for our younger generations. But this is going to give you all the basics for foundation building with what you didn't know and what you didn't have access to earlier on. Awesome. Okay, I think that's all of my spiel. So any other questions that I can answer for you before we wrap up? I know I took a lot of your time today. Hi, Jessica. Yeah. Yes, if you are, so one of my specialties, and this might be news for some of you, one of my specialties is working with, I work with complex relationships, right? So whether that be in presenting issues, there's multiple comorbid issues, there's significant mental health difficulties interwoven into the process. if there are multiple providers, like health providers, that need to be in the mix and in the know that I have to collaborate with. But also, complex systems include any kind of ethical non-monogamous structures, right? So yes, this program is built with the purpose to help relationships, and all romantic relationships filter into my program. So if you are a multi-partner, polycule, or open relationship style that has been pre-contracted and all partners are consenting and wanting the structure that's present, this program still is a perfect fit for you. So please don't feel like this is excluding you in any kind of capacity. This very much fits. Yeah, so thank you so much for asking that question. I really appreciate it. Yeah, polycules are one of my specialties. So you're welcome. You're welcome here. You're all welcome here. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me and my admin directly at help@bathurstfamilytherapy.com. I want you to have access to this PDF because it has important information, links, but it also has a couple of exercises for free that I included so that you can get that ball rolling and start considering, like, oh wow, these are the intimacy forms that I'm feeling pretty starved in, or this is where my energy is being drained and why it's not coming back to the relationship, and how do we fix that? I hope today gave you at least some of the framework for how to fix that, whether you choose me or something else. Go with what feels good for you and what's going to be of maximum support for your relationship, because you deserve it. And your relationship deserves the attention and the investment that you are wanting to offer it. Without it, it will continue to devolve, and that's the last thing that we want. So I hope that you gained a lot of information and guidance from this. If you have questions, reach out, and I really hope to see you in the program and work together.